Hi, this is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go.
Whoa, my top shelves are looking real bare. They're looking really empty up there because I wound up taking all the Chun-Lis and putting them down below. I called all of the Street Fighter Hello Kitties Chun-Lis. Sure, they're all different Chun-Lis. That's all of the characters in Street Fighter, right? There's Fireball Chun-Li and there's Stretchy Chun-Li. Anyways, so Anime Expo is about to start. We're like a couple of days away. I'm very excited. For those of you who don't know, I am a guest. I made a video where I was like, here are my panels, here's what they are. Come watch them if you want. It should be very fun. If you see me, please say hi. I won't bite. And if I do, you'll get turned into a Geguri, so it's like not that bad. So for our first piece of news, something that was kind of blowing up and going all over the place this morning was that there's some promotional Firewatch art from the game Firewatch that was used for a Ford dealership. So it's not like Ford in general, but it is a very specific dealership in Massachusetts. When approached, Ford was like, we don't know what you're talking about. Which is weird because like, they are identical. It's the exact same picture. Like, it's not like in other cases where you can be like, well, they look, you know, fairly similar. Is it a coinky-dink? Sometimes it's hard to tell. It's the same art. Now you might say, well, maybe the artist gave them the okay, which I don't think would work that way anyway because it was art that was made for a game, so you would need like permission from multiple different people, not just the original artist. But anyway, Ollie Moss is the artist, and he said that he was absolutely never contacted to be like, hey, can we use this thing in a Ford thingy? Like, never heard hide nor hair about it. So Ford finally responded and said, look, we use other companies to make our promotional stuff. So this isn't like, we didn't do this. Nobody has ever played the game that came across this or like noticed that it was art that had been used for anything else. Like, it was, you know, an honest mistake on our part. We had no idea. So whoever made their thing is the one to blame. It's fascinating to me how often I've seen this happen, like an artist or a graphic designer being like, yeah, buddy, don't worry about it, I'll design you a thing, and then just literally stealing, using it like nobody will notice, and almost every time somebody notices. It blows my mind. Anyways, so they're trying to make right. Ford had no idea. They feel very badly about the whole thing, and I'm sure that it'll get sorted. Look, Ford's got plenty of money. Would you like to take a quick little guessy-goo about how much money Warcraft has made in the box office? If it's anywhere around $370 million, then yeah, you nailed it. Warcraft is now the top grossing video game movie of all time. And you might say, I don't understand, but like the reviews were so bad and so many people, like specifically on the critic side of things, were like, oh, it's terrible, right? So how on earth does it take off so well? And as a person who enjoyed this movie, I'm going to remind you that a lot of the critiques that you've read are not from Asia. I don't remember what the exact statistics are, but in China, this movie crushed. Yeah, on the third weekend in China, they made $185.5 million. Like, what? Look, it just goes to show that when you're trying to determine whether or not a movie has a potential for a sequel, right? Like sometimes a movie comes out and you think, man, that's definitely not getting a sequel, right? And then it gets a sequel and you're like, how? How did this happen? It happens because you need to be looking at worldwide statistics. Like, domestic statistics don't mean a whole lot most of the time. Warcraft has done incredibly worldwide. And if you look at those numbers and you think to yourself, I wonder if Warcraft is gonna get a sequel, it's like, yes. Obviously, yes, definitely. And again, just to clarify, I thought that this movie was fun. I thought that it was a great little trump through Warcraft lore. It looked beautiful. I was super cool with it. I enjoyed it a lot. So there's my review. You're welcome. 10 out of 10. Cool works. There's a 17-year-old Korean girl who a lot of people are calling real-life D.Va, and here's why. Basically, she hit top 8 in Overwatch statistics, and a bunch of pros were like, no, she's cheating. She's definitely cheating. They thought that her aiming was too precise. Like, watching her play, they kept saying, no, she's obvious, like, she has to be aimbotting because she's too good at aiming. That was like the argument. So this girl, Geguri, she decided, all right, you know what? You want proof? You want to see proof? And the pros were like, yeah, we want to see proof. If you can prove that you're legit, like have a camera on you and be filming what you're actually like playing so that we can see your hands and see what you're doing, we'll take that as proof. We'll apologize. We'll even leave the Overwatch competitive scene. That's how sure they were that she was not playing fairly. So Geguri was like, all right, you know what? I'm not even gonna play for just a few minutes. I'm gonna play for an hour and a half. Guys, boy, the crush was so real. This girl just absolutely trampled with Zarya, who many people say is one of the characters that has like the highest learning curve, right? So they apologized profusely. One of them was like, I never should have said those things. I was so aggressive about this whole thing, and that's like my bad. I'm really sorry about all this. One of them who earlier on was like, if she turns out to be legit, I'll come at her with a knife, right? Like just crazy stuff. That guy also apologized and was like, I maybe shouldn't have said that knife thing. And I was like, yeah, you think? And then they both quit. So they're both off of their team, which I think is called Dizziness. Yeah, Dizziness is the name of the Korean team. So both of these guys have now quit. They apologized. They did what they said they were gonna do, to their credit. And Geguri is also on a team called Artisan. Their manager, I guess, was getting lots of calls from Blizzard Korea being like, look, she's legit. You don't need to be worrying, right? Because that sort of thing also calls into question your entire team and the integrity of everybody who's on it, right? So if it did turn out that she was, it would have been a huge issue for the team at large. So for the manager to be able to get like all of these calls from people who work at Blizzard being like, you don't need to worry, she's fine. And then for her to do this huge stream being like, look, if you guys don't believe me, here's like my skills, then, you know, I think that's awesome. So yeah, a bunch of people on the internet have been like, oh, she's real life D.Va. She just came in with soul-crushing esports skills and made everybody cry and go home. Love it. Beautiful. Mwah. The program Revive that we've talked about a couple of times, which allows Vive players to utilize Oculus exclusive games, has finally stopped being blocked by Oculus. Basically, up until this point, Oculus kept putting sort of blocks in place to make it so that you couldn't utilize this program. In the past, they had said, you know what? Use our games however you want to use our games as long as you're playing them, right? And Revive was created and they made it in a way where it was like, no, the DRM is still there, so you still have to buy the game. But so many blocks were going up that the developer of Revive was like, okay, well, I guess like I have to make it so that you could play this with pirated games. Like I have to create a system where you have to get around the DRM, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted to make it so that you had to buy the game. So Oculus, I guess, finally was like, you know what? Sure. Play our games on the Vive. Go for it. We occasionally revise our entitlement and anti-piracy systems, and in the June update we removed the check for Rift hardware from the entitlement check. We won't use hardware checks as part of DRM on PC in the future, which is awesome, because that means never again, right? I'm getting reports from multiple users that the headset check is indeed removed. I don't think they changed their stance on exclusivity, but they're at least willing to meet us halfway by letting us mod our games. I'm delighted to see this change. I hope it can generate a lot of goodwill for Oculus. So the DRM before was making sure that you were using an Oculus, because otherwise you just couldn't play the game at all. And they kept saying like, no, this is just, you know, to make sure the integrity of our game and now, finally, they've said, okay, you know what? That check's not gonna happen anymore. Which, again, like saying that they're meeting them halfway, I think is a good way to put it. Saying like, we're not going to create the tools for you to like put our exclusive games on other things, but we're not going to stand in the way of people who want to make those tools anymore. And that's way more in line with the sort of statements that we heard from them before the Rift launched, so I think that overall, yeah, the goodwill amongst everybody is going to be strengthened. And as a final bit of news, some of you might have heard that during E3, somebody was trying to steal the Zelda E3 demo. Now this is not a thing that like never happens, right? Like this has happened plenty in the past. This isn't the sort of thing you hear and go, they can't do that. But it's interesting because I think this is the first time that they were like live tweeting a heist, and they were like private Twitter accounts, but there are so many logs of tweets being like, oh man, Nintendo almost caught me, or like, oh, I'm over here and I see somebody who's like trying to do the thing, right? And you're like, what? It's really unclear whether one person thought to themselves, I'm gonna do this, and then a bunch of people said, oh, I should try that too. Or if just a bunch of people in the community said that they were gonna all try it at once, but suddenly there were multiple people saying that it was their idea and they were the one who was gonna go out and do it. And in the end, as far as I know, nobody got it. Nobody got this demo. They were unsuccessful. And I have to wonder if that's because it was so open. Like, it was so out there in the world. If I was Nintendo, I would be keeping such a close eye on anything that even remotely sounded like, we're gonna try to steal your stuff. And like, the thing with demos now is that they're typically built inside of more information. And that's like a terrible way to put that, but what I mean by that is like, if somebody were to get a hold of the demo and could just bust it open like a dragon's egg and be like, what else is in here, goals? I think that that's where a development company would be like, oh no, please don't touch ours, so please don't look at the code, please. But yeah, this is weird. This is like a weird whole new world of like hackers and script kiddies who are so open about it on Twitter. That's so weird to me. Like, if I was the one trying to do this, I wouldn't say nothing. I wouldn't say nothing, right? Like, I wouldn't ask for help. I would just be like, I'm gonna do this as quietly as possible so nobody, like, I don't want their hackles up. But hey, who am I? Who am I but a humble video face? Anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. If you would like to find out about the Anime Expo schedule, please check out my video that I will link in the end slate. And yes, if you would like to watch my live streams there at twitch.tv/dexteritybonus, I stream 5 days a week, including just like a sit and hang out and chat show on Saturdays. And they're all lovely. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Okay? Bye-bye. Mwah. They can't do that.